Nuggets semifinals tips off tonight. In their 3 meetings in the regular season, the Nuggets have the edge 2-1, but every game brought the action. One game was tied by 3 points in regulation. One went to OT. The remaining one went to double OT. So, fellas, it looks like we're in for a good time in the West, but there might be a changing of the guard in the NBA. The 8 conference semifinalists have combined for 5 titles total, with the 76ers being the last team to win it all. That was in 83. None have won a title since the playoffs expanded to 16 teams in 84. Max Kellerman up first. Who wins this series? Talk to me.
I think the Nuggets win it. It's really tough to call. I think the Nuggets win it. And let me just say before I say anything else, it's heartbreaking that Jamal Murray can't play on this Denver team. I think that if Jamal Murray was on this Denver team, they get out of the West. I'm confident in saying that.
I agree. Yeah. I agree.
It's a huge hit. Now, they happen to have a very deep roster of guards who can play, right? And so it makes up for some of it. But the number one thing, Porter Jr. can shoot the lights out, and Aaron Gordon was a great addition to the team. Jokic is the best player in every series he plays. He'll be the best player in this series, too. And by the way, what do I mean by best? He's the MVP of the regular season. Last time I checked, as you would say, Stephen A., Chris Paul and Devin Booker played in the regular season. They weren't the MVP. Jokic was. And now we're in the postseason. And if Jokic was the type of dude who you're like, yeah, but he's limited what he can do in the postseason. Sometimes bigs are like that. You need another star with him. But this dude can shoot from the outside, can pass as well as any big man who ever lived, can take the ball up if you need him to. That he remains the same MVP guy in the postseason as he is in the regular season. That makes him the best player in the next series, and I think this thing goes 7, and I think the Joker wins it.
I think it goes 7 as well. But a 7th game would be in Phoenix. And I'm going with the Phoenix Suns to win this series in 7 games. It's tight. It's dicey. Jokic is Jokic. DeAndre Ayton's going to have to be ready. They're relatively small without DeAndre Ayton. I get all of that. I see the elevation of Michael Porter, who I'm very, very impressed with. I like this kid a lot. I think that he's a future star in this league. I said, but I will tell you that when I look at the floor generalship of a Chris Paul, assuming he's healthy, I look at Cameron Payne, who I've been very impressed with coming off the bench and being as active as he is. Yeah. Devin Booker is Jamal Murray plus, potentially. We've seen Devin Booker. He's a star. We know what he brings to the table, okay? So you got Devin Booker, and you got Bridges, and you got Ayton, and you got CP3, and Payne, and Johnson. I'm looking at them, and I'm saying, excuse me, I could see this going back and forth, But could I see this finishing in 7 with the Phoenix Suns pulling it out? Yes, I do.
It just kills me that Jamal Murray's not in the series.
Yeah.
I would not pick Phoenix if Jamal Murray were healthy.
When I think back to the bubble and the first round, him and Donovan Mitchell going back and forth, that's how you get a rivalry in the NBA. Like, you have 2 young guys around the same level on the way up doing that. Jamal Murray, I just want to remind people, last year had a game of 50 points and no turnovers in the playoffs. Like 50 points and no turnovers, and you're a point guard. It was unbelievable. But Campazzo, you could throw different guys' names out there. There's, we talk about playoff Rondo. Stephen A., I'm here to tell you, there's playoff Rivers. Austin Rivers in the playoffs.
Yes, he is.
He really has a knack for stepping up. And when I think of where he came from, early in his career, it's the worst pick-and-roll point guard you ever want to see in the NBA. He had a name because the Rivers name, everything is like, and he was a great high school prospect. It's like, oh, my God, he's terrible.
Hit that big-time game-winning shot against Duke against North Carolina, too, which is one of the most beautiful scenes you'll ever see with Doc Rivers and his children in attendance, and Rivers hit that game-winning shot against North Carolina. I mean, that's what Tyler Sports is made of right there.
He's got it in him. It's in the bloodlines.
Right.
But, like, he went from, he is a real threat in the playoffs, and you look at Aaron Gordon, the way that trade is working out.
Aaron Gordon.
Jokic knows just how to use him. It's going to be a great series.
Jokic is special.
Absolutely. Man. All right, I hear you have info, so let's keep it going. In hours of Terry under 5, Stephen A. Mm-hmm. Are you confident in Kawhi and PG-13, that duo now?
Hell no. I mean, I congratulate them on getting past the first round. They handled their business. I had my reservations. At first, I thought they were going I picked them to win the series at the start of the series, Max. Then I thought they were going to get swept after losing the first two in L.A. Props to them. They came back. But then they go back to Los Angeles and they lose game 5.
Yeah, the Mavs were supposed to be done winning.
Giving up 40 to Luka. And then they're going back to Dallas in game 6, which I thought they would win. I thought they would win game 6 and then be typical Clippers and lose in game 7 because of the way the series had gone. But props to Kawhi Leonard for showing up, showing out, handling his business, reminding us the superstar talent that he is. Major, major props. And props to Paul George as well. Averaged 23 a game in this series. Shot better than 46% from the field in this series. He handled his business as well. Marcus Morris came up big time yesterday with some big time shots. I give him a lot of credit along with Reggie Jackson. But with all due respect, the Dallas Mavericks might have Luka, but they ain't the Jazz. That's the next team. Top 4 offensively, averaging better than 116 points per game. Top 3 defensively, yielding about 107 a game. In their first round playoff series against the Utah Jazz, they got not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 dudes averaging at least 17 a game. They got elite perimeters, defenders like Conley and Royce O'Neal on the perimeter. You've got Rudy Gobert, who may be Defensive Player of the Year in the interior. And, oh, by the way, they got a superstar, too, because Donovan Mitchell is on that level.
Facts.
Let me be very, very clear. I'm not speculating. I ain't guessing. I don't need to see. I've seen it. Donovan Mitchell is D-Wade 2.0. This brother is something special. And whatever you had to deal with Luka, you going to have to deal with Donovan Mitchell. So Kawhi and Paul George, look out, because Donovan Mitchell is coming. The difference between him and Luka is that Donovan Mitchell got help. I didn't even remember Bogdanovich, Conley, and Gobert and those boys offensively, okay? Oh, and Engel as well.
Ingles,
Goes on and on. That's right, Ron Clark. He has help. Luka did it. Don't get me started with you and Porzingis. I'm so done with him.
Yeah. His body won't hold up. That's the issue.
That's right.
His body won't hold up.
Well, he was in the game yesterday.
Yeah, but he has to always play himself back to where he was. He's never
Don't you worry. We're going to have more on that later in the show.
7'3" pedestrian. Never drives.
Here's the bottom line. You have to be confident in Kawhi and Paul George after what you just saw. I am. The real issue has never been Kawhi. Will Kawhi answer the bell? Has he had bad games in the playoffs? Everyone has, including Kawhi. Kawhi is one of the most clutch players who's ever played basketball. Look at his playoff resume. He is a 2-time Finals MVP. Once as a 22-year-old baby, and later on as the best guy on the team in Toronto for 2 different franchises. And by the way, Stephen A., that's just the Finals MVP. If they gave out playoff MVP, he'd have some of those too. Because he's had playoffs where by then you go, that dude was the most clutch dude in the playoffs, including the year he won it with Toronto.
Okay.
The series against Toronto was not his most impressive series. He went crazy that whole time. Okay, Kawhi as a lead dude in the playoffs, you have to be confident in. He did it again. You know what he did? By the way, when I say he did it again, you know what he did? He talked about Steph Curry, 50-40-90. He went 60-40-90 for this 7-game playoff series. How about this one? Kirk Goldsberry had this on ESPN. Of all players ever to score 200 points in a playoff series, if you scored 200 points, probably went 7 games, right?
Yeah.
There are only 3 dudes until now who shot 60% from the field. 60. And Kawhi is a wing. Those shots, as we saw from the graphic, are coming from distance. Shaq wasn't a wing. Kareem wasn't a wing. Bernard King. Stephen A. remembers a sweet shooting dude. Bernard. Those are the only 3 ever to have 200 points, 60%. Kawhi is fine. So the question is Paul George. Do you have confidence in Paul George? What did we see from Paul George? He's played in this series consistently better than he's played in high leverage moments throughout his career in the playoffs. Playoff P, if anything, is Porzingis now, not Paul George. Let's be honest. Is that a second banana who you can win a title with? Yep. From what I saw, that dude played well enough to be the second dude. He has to keep that up. The Jazz are a whole